It's an interesting dynamic that's taking shape within the OTT device segment of this market. We heard for years within the traditional pay TV market, particularly cable, about how there's lack of interoperability of the devices, the set-tops, with different cable systems. And regulators got involved, and the CEA got involved, and we had the appearance of cable card, and how can we advance as an industry this notion of box portability across services. What's interesting about what we're seeing in OTT now is that we have vendors who are strong, big vendors in this market who have content services now offering devices that work with their content service, maybe some of the other content services, but not all of the content services. So we have the Apple TV, which doesn't have access to Amazon Prime Video. We now have a box from Amazon, which won't necessarily have access to Apple Video. We've seen activity from Google around a new Google or Android box that may have interoperability with Google Play, but may not allow me to have access to Amazon or Apple or perhaps other services. Netflix is in this great position of being the one that sort of transcends all of those different services, but we're still locked in this situation where devices are coming to market offered by a vendor that has a service, and then that box has limited utility if one wants to be a consumer of a wide range of services. Roku is a little bit different in that they're not a content provider and really has had an open attitude towards letting content services develop apps for their device, and that becomes maybe the single device that offers access to all content. Perhaps game consoles might be in that category as well, or a smart TV. But I think we're seeing, strangely enough, the replication of what we saw within the set-top box market of these devices that are sort of purpose-built to work with a particular service offered by a particular vendor. That may help subsidize costs and give me a great experience for that vendor service, but doesn't give me necessarily the box that I can use for access to everything. What it means for consumers now is that you have a stack of little hockey puck devices in your entertainment system. You may not have a stack of big set-top boxes, but you may have the game console, you may have a Roku, you may have an Apple TV, you may have an Amazon Fire box, you may have an Android TV device as a consumer who wants to get access to all of the great content that may exist across those services.
In this changing ecosystem of devices, where will Apple play? I mean, we know where they play now. Where do you think they could play?
Yeah, well, Apple's been one of those interesting cases that folks have been watching for a couple years, and it seems every year that mythical Apple TV, the big display with a great interface, with a service integrated, is right around the corner. I've always cautioned folks when speculating about Apple TV to not overestimate what Apple TV could represent. So it could be a great device with a great interface integrated with a great Apple service, or integrated with pay TV services already offered by your local pay TV provider. But Apple can't unilaterally change how content is distributed. They can't unilaterally go to programmers and say, we're going a la carte, you're going to offer this content at a lower price, we're totally going to disrupt the MVPD market. They're not able to do that, and the programmers understand that there's a lot of ecosystem partners that they have to satisfy as they look to get as wide distribution as possible. So what Apple could represent to this industry is again, great device design, great interface design, integration with their services, and again, also integration with pay TV services. And for some segment of the market, maybe we'd be excited about buying an Apple-branded big display. But the beauty of their device strategy now, with a $99 device, is that almost becomes, it's an impulse purchase. It's a very simple purchase for many consumers. It's also a device that you can replace as new functionality gets rolled out. It's a very different proposition when you're talking about a $1,000 device or a multi-$1,000 device, which typically consumers aren't replacing every 2 years. Maybe it's every 5 years or 6 years or 7 years. So I think there's still a lot to be said about a small box strategy of how we bring the Apple interface and the Apple experience and Apple content to the big screen, that the big screen strategy may not satisfy in the same way.